Alrighty, YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video, another week, another win for the Niners. Great win at home against the Seattle Seahawks today, of course. I thought really all in all, I thought the team played fine. It definitely wasn't one of the better 49ers wins that I've seen in recent weeks, but at the end of the day, they won the game. I thought overall they played pretty well. They let Drew Lock hang in there a little too long, though. Seattle really was competitive throughout the entire game, which is kind of surprising to me because they obviously didn't have Geno Smith, but Drew Lock played much better than Geno Smith played on that Thanksgiving night whenever the 49ers steamrolled them in Seattle. They still obviously, beat the Seahawks by over 10 points. The final score was 28-16, but all in all, I thought we played a fine game. I thought the secondary, they were struggling early. It seemed like DK was kind of having his own early out the gate, but obviously the Niners then came in, stepped up, and kind of put the game away. But as far as stat-wise goes, Brock Purdy, another insane game. He did throw an interception, but that interception was not his fault. I think Brandon Ayuk was the intended receiver for that. And Brandon Ayuk, it was a catchable ball. Brandon Ayuk just didn't reel it in. It definitely should have been a catch on Ayuk's part. So that interception, I don't really hold Purdy accountable for, of course. That was kind of one of them things where, Brock Purdy made the throw. Brandon Ayuk just didn't come through on that. And that happens. I mean, that happens a lot in the NFL, of course. I mean, you guys know that just as well as I do. So, but after the interception, man, Brock Purdy was slicing and dicing. He threw a deep ball to Deebo Samuel, which, by the way, Deebo Samuel had another monster day through the air, on the ground. He had 2 total touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. Deebo has came alive the past couple weeks. Like, Brandon Ayuk has kind of taken a step back somewhat. Now today, Brandon Ayuk was on fire. Brock Purdy was just distributing the ball to everybody and anybody. Brandon Ayuk finished the game with 6 catches for 126 yards. Wasn't able to find the end zone. That was pretty much Deebo today in the receiving game. George Kittle had a touchdown catch as well. 3 catches, 76 total yards, and a touchdown for George Kittle. Brock Purdy, though, as far as he goes, 19 for 27, 368 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He had a quarterback rating of 122.1. So still like an absolute monster day from Brock Purdy. The guy continues to prove and show why he should be the NFL MVP. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I thought Seattle kind of hung in there better than I thought they would have today. Drew Lock really impressed me. In the back of my mind before the game started, I kind of wondered if Seattle would play a little better with Drew Lock. Weird things happen like that all the time in the NFL. You look at Jake Browning, what he's been able to do with the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, guys come in all the time. Like, Brock Purdy should be a prime example of that. Guys come in all the time and produce. And I'm not trying to put Drew Lock on and compare him to Brock Purdy or compare Brock Purdy to Jake Browning by any means. But the point I'm trying to make is a lot of times when, teams think it's a lock to win the game, and because they're playing, an opposing team's quarterback who isn't all that, or they're playing a team where their quarterback just went down and the backup comes in and they think it's, it's over for that opposing team. Like, things happen all the time where backup quarterbacks come in and they produce at a pretty high level. And Drew Lock did that today. I thought overall Drew Lock wasn't that great. He did throw 2 picks that were crucial. But he went 22 for 31, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. And really the last interception that Drew Lock threw came in when the game was pretty much wrapped up and over. But I thought, like, if it wasn't for Drew Lock playing the way he did, Seattle wasn't making that game as close as they did for about 3 quarters. And then obviously in the 4th quarter, the Niners pull away. Fred Warner gets an interception, gets suplexed by DK Metcalf, which, by the way, DK Metcalf seems to always throw bitch fits whenever the game's not going his way. I think it's the funniest thing ever. But, of course, Fred Warner then slams his head into the turf to get his payback. And then, obviously, DK grabs Fred Warner's face mask, has some choice words for Fred Warner. Fred Warner's not doing anything. They throw DK out of the game, and in between the time when DK was grabbing Fred Warner's face mask, Deommodore Lenoir comes in and pushes DK Metcalf. I guess he threw a punch. I haven't seen the full entire sequence. I was watching it when it transpired, but I didn't see. A lot of people are saying Lenoir threw a punch before he pushed DK Metcalf. I didn't see that. I'd have to go back and take a look at that, but I didn't agree with the ejection on Deommodore Lenoir whatsoever. But I guess if he did throw a punch, that's completely different. So Deommodore Lenoir obviously is ejected from the game, and then DK gets ejected from the game. So, it was garbage time when it happened. DK suplexed Fred Warner. You can't do that in the NFL, clearly. That's why Dre Greenlaw was flagged last week. And then obviously Dre Greenlaw then gets thrown out of the game for, throwing that little jab at Big Dom, the Eagles security guard. So, it is what it is. The NFL's soft nowadays, so obviously they're going to, when stuff like that happens, players are going to be ejected, unfortunately. So it is what it is. But, the Niners, like Fred Warner had a pick today. Jair Brown had an interception today, actually. It was on a deep ball to, I believe, DK Metcalf, and Jair Brown was pretty much locking him up when he threw it, and Jair Brown had an easy interception. So I thought Jair Brown played extremely well today, and I think he's been pretty impressive since Hufanga got hurt. There's been times where he struggled, but I thought overall he's been playing at a pretty high level, and you love to see that from a young rookie like Jair Brown, especially knowing that, of course, he's going to be the starter for the remainder of the season with Hufanga, with having the torn ACL. But, so Fred Warner, of course, had the interception. Jair Brown had the interception. Christian McCaffrey didn't get in the end zone. He did, on the first play of the game, he breaks out for a 72-yard run to start the game. Somehow he was caught from behind by, I believe, Tariq Woolen. He didn't end up getting in the end zone, but it was still a very, very impressive play. So he had that. He had 72 yards off the gate. Christian McCaffrey finished with 16 carries for 145 yards. So again, 49ers did, exactly what they needed to do in terms of running the football. Jordan Mason then, after the big McCaffrey run, took it in for that first touchdown of the game. But 49ers attacked the run today, exactly what they needed to do. They attacked the passing game a little more than I thought they would. But to no really avail. Brock Purdy was throwing all over them today. 368 total yards for Brock Purdy. So, like I said, Brock Purdy just building his case as to why he should be the MVP. And again, I think at this point, what else does Brock Purdy have to prove to win the MVP, of course? Obviously, he's going to have to continue to stay consistent, but Brock Purdy's the leader in the clubhouse when it comes to the MVP award, and that's how it should be. Like I said, another tremendous game from Brock Purdy. Got everybody involved. Like I said, Ayuk, 6 catches, 126 yards. Deebo, 7 catches, 149 yards. Obviously, Deebo had the bomb. The Brock Purdy throw to Deebo Samuel was one of Brock Purdy's better throws all year. Brock Purdy's made a lot of great throws this year, and that's probably up there in terms of one of the best throws he's had all season. Just a beautiful ball. It couldn't have been better when it comes to accuracy and things of that nature. That was a absolute dot to Deebo Samuel for that touchdown. He also threw a nice pass to George Kittle whenever Kittle scored. So Brock Purdy, like I said, continuing to show why he should be the MVP without a doubt. Brock Purdy also had a throw to Brandon Ayuk. That was a great throw. Brock Purdy was making high level throws all day today. It's funny too, because one of the main excuses as to why Brock Purdy shouldn't win the MVP award is he's the dink and dunk king. I don't like Brock Purdy has completely put that to rest. He is not like, yeah, he'll throw the screen passes and Deebo like last week will take him for 40 yards to the house, but Brock Purdy is statistically the best deep ball passer in football this year in terms of completion percentage and quarterback rating when throwing the ball downfield. The talk with him being a dink and dunk quarterback and this and that stuff has to stop. It's going to continue because there's always haters out there, but Brock's going to continue week in and week out to prove those haters wrong. So, so a tremendous day from the offense, man. Like, they were rolling all day. They there was a couple drives that didn't go our way, but in the end, like, the Niners steamrolled them when it came to just having a balanced offense in this game, running the football effective, opening up the passing game, the play action stuff. So another flawless called game from Kyle Shanahan and another flawless game from the offensive players in general. And then, of course, on the defensive side of things, Fred Warner, of course, this is no surprise, led the team in tackles with 8 total tackles, 4 solo tackles. Nick Bosa today had 1.5 sacks, so Nick Bosa came alive. Shout out Nick Bosa. I thought, defense played stifling for majority of the game, especially there at the end. Like, Seattle just couldn't do anything after halftime. Up until halftime, Seattle was moving the ball pretty efficiently and whatnot, but Steve Wilkes and that defense made adjustments, and the rest was history. Cleveland Farrell had a sack today. Javon Kinlaw had 0.5 sacks today. Randy Gregory had a sack today. So, really, man, all in all, 4 total sacks for the team. Obviously, Nick Bosa led the team in that. Chase Young almost had a strip sack. It was actually on the play where Fred Warner had the interception. Chase Young got to Drew Lock and swatted the ball when Drew Lock went to throw it, and that's really the reason the ball got picked. So a tremendous day from Chase Young as well. But yeah, man, like I said, I thought overall, like, this defense played extremely well. I think all in all, like, if I had, I said going into this game that it would be 35-17, I think was my score prediction, and it was actually pretty close. I mean, had the Niners scored one more touchdown, that prediction would have been spot on. So, again, huge win for the Niners. Of course, they obviously improved to 10-3. I'm watching Dallas and Philly right now. Dallas is ahead 7-0, and of course, every Niners fan tonight, for like the first time only, is Cowboys fans rooting for the Cowboys to beat the Eagles. Therefore, I guess if Dallas is able to beat Philadelphia tonight, San Francisco would then move up to number 1 seed in the NFC playoff picture, and that's going to be huge. Obviously, San Francisco is going to have to win out, probably for that to happen, or if they lose again, of course, they have to hope Philly loses again. But to make it easier on the 49ers, they just need to win out. I know their toughest game for the rest of the year coming up will be the Baltimore Ravens, and that's on Christmas night. That's going to be an amazing game. Christmas Day, of course, 8:15 p.m. That's the primetime game on Christmas. So, yeah, man, that's going to be an interesting game as well. That's going to be a tough game. We are at home, which helps big time. Baltimore's going to have to travel all the way to the West Coast. So hopefully we can ruin Baltimore's Christmas, of course. That's going to be, like I said, the toughest game the 49ers play for the remainder of the year. Obviously, next week we have the Arizona Cardinals, followed by then the Ravens, like I just talked about, and then the Commanders and the Rams are the last 2 games of the season to wrap it up. So San Francisco needs to win 4 more times, man, and they win out. And I think, it's very possible. Like I said, I mean, the toughest game we'll have for the rest of the year is going to be Baltimore. I definitely think the Rams game at the end of the year is going to be tough as well. They played Baltimore very good today, and I'm not sleeping on the Rams. We only beat them by, I believe, 7 points week 2 when we played them first. I believe that was week 2, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was week 2. So we only beat them by 7 points week 2. And obviously they didn't have Cooper Kupp. So we'll see what happens, of course. Like I said, it's one of them things where, if San Francisco, like I said, loses, they're going to have to hope that, Philadelphia loses one more time. And again, to make it easier on the 49ers, they just need to win out. That's all they have to do. And obviously hope Philly loses tonight. Dallas just hit another field goal, so it's 10-0 now. Dallas is up. But yeah, man, great game overall. Obviously, I'll be on here tomorrow talking about the game balls and who I think are most deserving of these game balls. But yeah, Niners win yet again. Improved to 10-3, of course. Go Cowboys tonight. Like I said, every Niners fan should be rooting for the Cowboys tonight, so San Francisco is able to get that number 1 seed. But yeah, man, like I said, I'll be on here tomorrow talking about the game balls. But great game from Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, George Kittle. I mean, that all the stars were out today again. Deebo dominated yet again for the second straight week in a row. Yeah, again, I expected it to be the way it was. Again, I thought Seattle competed a little too long, but I thought all in all, like, San Francisco is just so much better than Seattle. Seattle's far from healthy. They were far from healthy going into this game. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's a divisional game, so it's always going to be competitive when we play Seattle, except for that Thanksgiving night game. And again, I mean, we beat the Seahawks by 12 points, so it really wasn't that close in the end. But Seattle, you know, give them their flower. They hung in there a little bit. But again, I mean, I knew the defense was going to get that one or two big turnovers to seal the game, and they did exactly that. And then, of course, you know, San Francisco just running all over Seattle's defense with McCaffrey and being able to move the ball as efficiently as they did today. It's a recipe for a disaster for the Seattle Seahawks. But yeah, as always, go Niners. I'll be on here tomorrow, like I said, talking about the game balls video. But Niners win again, improved to 10-3. Go Cowboys tonight. That's the only time I'll probably say that in my entire life, unless we find ourselves in this position again where we need the Cowboys to win to help the Niners. But yeah, as always, go Niners. We killed the Seahawks again. It's always good to sweep the Seahawks in a single season. So yeah. Hawks down, Niners up. Go Niners as always. I'll see you guys in the next one.